Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is Trent. This is Rams Talk. Thank you for watching another edition. Right now we're in training camp. Things are starting. Pads are on. So we're going to start diving into a lot of topics, a lot of content going to be happening and dropping on a regular basis. Hard Knocks tonight. So get ready. Going to have a recap tomorrow, first thing in the morning. So when you wake up, beware. Anyways, thank you for all the new subscribers, for all the comments, for all the community action. Really appreciate that. You can also find me on Twitter at Real LA Rams Talk, on Instagram, LA Rams Talk. Yes. So, one other thing before I get into this. So I joined a community called Fan to Fan Network. It's basically a bunch of people like myself, YouTube creators for each of the different teams, and then some general guys, some mock draft guys. And we had our first live stream on Twitch a couple nights ago, so you can check us out. You'll see a link in the first comment to the Twitch channel and also to the website. So if you just want some football programming, learn about other teams, all bunch of great guys, and actually very fun. So Fan to Fan Network, check it out. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is the defensive line and linebackers and the amount of pressure they apply on the quarterback and the sacks. So the reason why I'm thinking about this is we lose Dante Fowler, we lose Clay Matthews, Cory Littleton, and that accounts for a lot of the pressure that we put on the quarterback last year. So just to give you some context to know where the Rams stand, 50 sacks last year for the Rams as a total. That was fourth in the NFL. Steelers were first, Panthers second, Saints third, then the Rams, but all very close. So it was just like, 4 sacks, I think, separated first from fourth, right? Now, sacks don't really tell the entire story, so that's why I'm including pressures. So the Rams generated 177 pressures. Pressures are quarterback hurries, knockdowns, and of course sacks. So the Rams ranked third in the NFL. Steelers, Saints, Rams in terms of pressure. So just generally, the Steelers defense last year was really good. They were first in sacks and pressures, and so was the Saints front seven, with sacks and pressures. Both of them ranked ahead of the Rams. You don't really think of the Saints as being like a crazy pass rush team, but their defense is pretty solid. Anyways, so the Rams are minus 23 out of those 50 sacks going into this year, and they're minus 70 out of 177 pressures going into this year. So Dante Fowler had 11.5 sacks and 35 pressures. Now this is the stat that kind of blew my mind. Clay Matthews, he got injured, he missed some time, but I don't really recall him having stuffing the stat sheet in the limited amount of times he played. He had 8 sacks last year. I mean, that's crazy. 8 sacks is definitely something in the NFL. That's pretty good, actually. So he had 8 sacks, 28 pressures, and Cory Littleton from the inside linebacker position had 3.5 sacks and 7 pressures. Not so much on the pressure, which is fine. That's not his job. They brought him in on some blitzes, so that's where the sacks come from. But in my eyes, the Rams are missing basically 19.5 sacks. That's from Clay Matthews and Dante Fowler, and they're missing 63 pressures from those two guys from the outside linebacker position, right? So what about the guys the Rams have? So let me just give you a brief rundown of the guys still on the roster and even the new addition and the rookies, just to let you know who had what. So Aaron Donald, obviously 12.5 sacks, 55 pressures. I mean, that's top of the line right there. Samson Ebukom, 4.5 sacks, 15 pressures. Michael Brockers, 3 sacks, 17 pressures. Sebastian Joseph Day, say that 3 times as fast as you can, 2 sacks, 8 pressures. Morgan Fox, 2 sacks, 5 pressures. And Obo, 1.5 sacks and 4 pressures. So, especially from the interior guys, you don't really expect a lot of sacks or pressures, right? Aaron Donald is the anomaly. And then you bring in Leonard Floyd, who last year for the Bears had 3 sacks and 26 pressures. His career high in sacks is 7. That was his rookie year. He's reunited with Brandon Staley. So I'm optimistic that his sack and pressure total will rise. And, he was playing opposite, so a little different than Aaron Donald, where Aaron Donald will be in the interior or on the edge of the 3. Whereas Khalil Mack was just completely opposite of Leonard Floyd on the other side of the outside linebackers. So I expect his numbers to bump up a bit. And so even if he gets 2 more sacks and a handful more pressures, then I'm okay with that, because his strength is also against the run and in coverage. So I feel that's kind of a sneaky thing that Leonard Floyd brings to the table. Not many people talk about it, but if he's one of the better players at the outside linebacker position in terms of coverage, that helps take some pressure off, and you don't need all the sacks from him. Now, there's one guy, and you all know him, and he's not my surprise guy or my sleeper guy, but I expect big things from Obo. It's his 3rd year, a lot of injury history, but when he played last year, he did very well. And I think what I'm going to walk you through is basically extrapolating his performance from last year over the expected snap count from this year to kind of find a nice sweet spot for what his sack total could be if he A, stays healthy, and B, the wild card is the snap counts, because there are so many changes in the line and across the defense that I don't know how the snap counts are going to be allocated. So when we talk about snap counts, last year, if you look at the top linebackers like Bobby Wagner and Kuechly, they were around 1,100-ish snaps. Defensive snaps, right? Now that's upper echelon, every down, 3 down linebacker snaps, right? The most that anyone on the Rams had from outside linebacker was 940 from Dante Fowler. Okay, so those 940 snaps are gone, and so are the 623 snaps from Clay Matthews gone. So that is a total of 1,563 snaps that the Rams have to account for. Now, you get some of those snaps back with Leonard Floyd, who played 934 defensive snaps. So basically the same as Fowler, he was 6 fewer snaps than Dante Fowler last year. So that's pretty much a wash on there. So you free up the Clay Matthews 623 snaps. Now, it's easy to say, okay, that's just going to go straight to Obo, right? But, the rotation to me at outside linebacker is going to be Leonard Floyd, who's pretty much locked in. And then the other one's going to be, I feel, a rotation of Ebukom and Obo. What about Terrell Lewis, right? Well, to me, Terrell Lewis is a project. He didn't play much at Alabama. Injury history, late to camp with COVID. So I feel Terrell Lewis is a guy they're going to bring along slowly, and unless he really, really flashes, picks it up, stays healthy, I think his snap counts are going to be limited this entire season, especially for rookies all across the league. This is going to be a difficult year for them to really make an impact, unless there is a very clear path to playing time, right? Like Cam Akers, to me, even though he's a rookie and there's limited camp, he has a more clear path, or a clearer path to playing time than Terrell Lewis. Van Jefferson more than Terrell Lewis. So I think that it's really the snap counts are going to be between Obo and Ebukom. That's going to be a boost on that other side. And what about Jachai Polite and Justin Lawler? Who knows, right? Jachai Polite is very much a mystery to me. I haven't really heard anything in camp. I mean, I saw something on Rams Instagram, I believe, of just a little couple seconds of him doing a drill. But I mean, who knows? I mean, Jachai Polite could be a sleeper guy, but I mean, until you hear more about him, some news about him, looking really good and being in the best shape of his life. I mean, I feel like in every sport and every camp, you hear a player talking about another player like they're in the best shape of their life. Well, yeah, I mean, Like every year you want to get better, right? And you're an athlete and that's your job. But I hope the best shape in their life also means like they are actually just better players. Anyways, I digress. So essentially we have about 630 snaps freed up, and let's just say they all went to Obo. So Obo last year had 117 defensive snaps. Now he had 145 special team snaps. Okay, so that's important to note. So he had 117 lining up on the defensive line. Okay, so let's say you gave him 630, right? You put him at the 740, 750 snaps range. I'm looking, if you take his sack total from last year, extrapolate that with the snap counts, increase snap counts, that gives him about 9.5 sacks this year. So basically, if you just gave Obo the green light and really upped his snap counts, not to the 900 level, but just to the 700 plus level, and he performs like he did at the end of last year, you're looking at 9 to 10 sacks from Obo. I think you can do it. I think the only thing holding Obo back is playing time. So I'm high on the Obo train, and I mean, we really don't have a lot to go on except for what we saw last year, and he flashed. He looked good. He looked strong. He looked fast, and I didn't get his pressure total's 4. Not a lot, but I think if you give Obo the Dante Fowler amount of snaps, like let's just say he plugs in and is to the Dante Fowler role and gets all of those snaps, you're looking at 13-ish sacks from Obo. I mean, I know, calm down, cool your jets, Trent. He hasn't done anything. Why would they give him all these snaps? What about Ebukom? Yeah, you're right. Trying to calm it down a little bit. So that's why I think it's realistic to think that Obo will get anywhere between 7 and 10 sacks this year based on whatever playing time they give him if he stays healthy. Okay? And that's pretty solid. Because I'll be honest with you guys, I like Dante Fowler on the Rams. That hit on Breeze in the playoff game, with provided the interception for JJ. Always have a soft spot on that. But I felt like he was very streaky. There were games where he had like 3 sacks and then no sacks or not a lot of pressures for the next like 3 or 4 games. So I liked Fowler, but I always felt like he could be more, right? So I'm not really missing him. I feel like the Clay Matthews sack total is weird. Like, we're replacing all those 8 sacks, but I don't really remember all of them. So the other guy, Ebukom. So I feel like Obo, Ebukom. Obviously, Floyd is going to have to pick it up a bit, but Ebukom, I think he played well. He had 4.5 sacks last year. He had 571 snaps on defense with 160 on special teams. So he had fewer snaps than Clay Matthews, and Clay Matthews missed a lot of time. Now, Ebukom is a guy, everyone says, comes into camp with in the best shape of his life. But if you look at him, you're like, damn, like a lot of protein shakes and push-ups for Ebukom in the offseason. So I think, guys who have been in the league for a couple of years, and they kind of get it, they get what it takes. They get not the politics, but like the business, I got guys leave, rookies get drafted. You kind of understand your place and when there's an opportunity, right? So he's been around the block and he knows that this year, this is his walk year. He knows without Matthews, without Fowler, this is his opportunity. So he's in great shape. And Ebukom is actually pretty good against the run. Ebukom's another guy who's like, comes up, scoops up a loose ball, scores a touchdown. Think of the Kansas City game. Ebukom always kind of seems to come up with some big plays, but you don't hear his name in every game. So the consistency is going to have to be key for him. But I think his snap count bumps up, Obo bumps up, and I think between the two of them, so last year they combined for 6 sacks, but I think between the two of them, we're looking at 15 sacks total, right? I think, you give Ebukom a couple hundred more snaps, you give Obo, 400 more snaps or so, and I think that's how it's going to shake out. Now, who knows? Injuries are going to play a large part in this. The different, if you're going against the 49ers, maybe, or the trying to think of teams that have like a good tight end, or even run game, the Seahawks, you might want to have Floyd in there, who's great against the run and good in coverage. Ebukom also good against the run, but he can rush the passer. So I think a lot of the situations and the game plans are going to dictate the snap counts for Floyd, Ebukom, and Obo. And then Terrell Lewis, like I said, coming on a little bit later in the year. And who knows about Polite and Lawler. But along the defensive line, I could see Aaron Donald bump up to three more sacks. He had 20.5 sacks 2 years ago. Last year, 12.5. So kind of fitting in between those numbers, I think, is definitely doable. I'm also very curious to see Brandon Staley's defense and see how he creates opportunities for Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald, if you think about it from an opposing team's perspective, who else would require possibly double coverage, right? So, Dante Fowler maybe last year, right? You had to kind of account for him, chip him a little bit with a tight end perhaps. But you go against the Rams and no one else aside from AD on that defense, the defensive front, scares you. So you're going to game plan for Aaron Donald. So then Staley has to game plan around that. And he most recently said that he wants Aaron Donald to express himself within the defense. So basically, he wants to create opportunities for Aaron Donald to not think too much and just go and do what he does best from multiple places in the defense. That helps free up Aaron Donald to do what he can do. So I think Staley's defense. A lot of people knocked Wade Phillips for the defense last year, but really it was like 3 or 4 meltdown games. Aside from that, pressures and sacks, schemed it up pretty well, right? So Aaron Donald, I think, can pop on another 3 sacks. And Sebastian Joseph Day, I feel with his, now that Ashawn Robinson's going to be out, I think that he's going to start the year really in go mode. So I think he's going to have an uptick there. And, Brockers is just going to be Brockers. He's going to be 3 to 4 sacks, playing a solid, stout run defense as well. So I don't know if the Rams can make up for 23 sacks, but it also depends on, we're looking at total numbers, so it also depends on, are they blitzing a lot from the middle linebacker or from the safety or cornerback, where are they bringing pressure elsewhere? So I don't think they're going to get to 23 sacks, the missing sacks. I feel like the pressures, they can do pretty well in making up that ground in pressures, but we'll see. There's a lot of unknowns this year, right? Last year we knew it was Fowler, we knew it was Ebukom, Obo was going to be injured. Oh, we knew Matthews was there, but we didn't have another rookie. We didn't have a new defensive coordinator. We were not missing a bunch of pieces. We are losing a lot of defensive snaps from last year. So kind of into the unknown here. But I feel that I'm excited for Obo. I'm excited for Ebukom. I'm excited to see Leonard Floyd in a different light or in his old light from Chicago when Brandon Staley was there. So I think that there's a very, very good possibility that by the end of the year, now I just thought about middle linebacker. Oops. But I think by the end of the year, the Rams defense could be a top 12 overall defense, especially with those secondary being, I think the secondary is phenomenal. It's just the middle linebacker spot that I feel needs a little bit of work. But anyways, this is about pressures and the Rams are going to be feeling a lot of pressure to get those pressures. So let me know what you think about Obo, Ebukom, Floyd, Terrell Lewis, Polite, Lawler, the whole situation going on with rushing the passer and applying pressure. So love to hear what you have to say. So yeah, thank you for watching. Once again, going to be dropping another Hard Knocks thing tomorrow. Got to talk about kickers. Got to talk about Antonio Brown, perhaps on the Rams. But anyways, if you haven't subscribed, please do so. Watch another video. And as always, go Rams.